Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, party people. It is Wednesday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I am Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. We are just a couple of dudes hanging out, talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. And we're wrapping up our AFC NFC Outlook series this week. And so tonight we're going to be talking about the teams in the AFC and NFC North. And when we wrap that up, if we have time, we are also going to summarize it all up and give you guys our overall team record predictions for the season. And so if I got all that right, how's it going there tonight, my man, James?
It's going good. How's it going with you?
So far, so good. Just took some allergy medicine and, waiting for that stuff to kick in. But, I'm maintaining. So we are on to the AFC North, James. Why don't you give us the departures for the Ravens?
All right. So the Ravens, they lost wide receivers Nelson Aguilar and Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson went to the Browns, and didn't he end up being cut?
Yep, he was cut, man. Yeah, he spiraled, from a ascending star to now maybe nobody's even going to take a shot on him.
Yeah. And then they lost on the offensive line Josh Jones and Patrick McCarry, tackle guard. Michael Pierce retired from the defensive line, Brent Urban. They lost linebackers Chris Board and Malik Harrison. Corners Arthur Millay, Brandon Stevens, and Tre'Davious White. Safeties Marcus Williams and how to put it? Happy ending, Justin Tucker.
Happy ending, Justin Tucker. You had to go there. Yeah, Justin Tucker, let's just say he kicked himself. Okay? He kicked himself in the you-know-what. So, all right. So now in terms of additions, I'm just going to call this one out there. They brought in Cooper Rush, fire up chips. And,
I'm going to just fire up chips. But is Cooper Rush going to be on the roster because they signed Tyler Huntley?
Well, yeah, considering they're giving him 2 years, $12 million, I think that they're expecting him to be the backup for Lamar. But I did think it was a strange signing that you would pair one of the least mobile quarterbacks in the league with Lamar Jackson as the starter. But hey, it's Baltimore. I can't question what they do. They're a pretty good team year in and year out. So. All right. So aside from Cooper Rush, they signed DeAndre Hopkins to a 1-year deal.
Wasn't he? I thought he was there last year.
Was it last year, or was he with Kansas City last year, or was Kansas City the year before?
Maybe.
If he was there last year, then they should have put like a re-sign.
That's what I was wondering when I saw him.
But that does sound familiar. It does seem like he was there last year, right?
Yeah,
yeah. Then they just didn't label this right.
Maybe he wasn't there last year. No, you were right. He was with Kansas City last year. So I think what happened was when he signed Baltimore, because it was.
Oh no, you keep breaking up on me.
Early on, we probably talked
about it early on, so it seems like it was a long time ago. Yeah.
All right. Sorry, you go ahead.
No, it's all good. So yeah, aside from him, they brought in offensive tackle Joe Noteboom. They brought in Chidobe Awuzie at cornerback and Jair Alexander at cornerback, which that one, man, to me, that surprised me how cheap of a deal they got him for. 1 year, $4 million with another 2 in incentives. This is a guy that, just like 2 years ago, everybody was hyping up as one of the better cornerbacks in the league. And now, one bad year later, or, I guess partial injury, partial whatever year later, he's, I don't know. So it just changes that fast.
Jair Alexander, he's had problems staying on the field throughout his career.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's like, well, we can't trust you to be healthy type of thing.
I just still would have thought some team would have offered him at least twice that. And, you know, but maybe somebody did. He was just like, I don't want to go to, some bottom feeder team. So, who knows? Plus, it's probably smart on his part. Go to Baltimore. You're surrounded by a ton of talent. It's going to make
Yeah,
it
and
easy to have a bounce
they
back year, and then you get paid next year.
and so I I thought I heard, and I forget who it was. They gave one of their corners a huge fucking extension.
Okay. Hmm.
Like
Well, Kyle Hamilton, their safety, just got some big money.
a 4 year Kyle Hamilton. No, safety. Safety. It was their safety, not their corner.
Yeah. Yeah, he's solid. All right. And so then for the draft here, James.
Yeah, they
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
gave him a 4 year, 100 million. I didn't know I was talking.
I can't tell if you're talking or not because it keeps cutting out.
It keeps cutting out. My internet's shit right now. So,
That's all right.
anyways,
It's all right. And we
we
talk.
can move
Zoom
on.
sucks up all the bandwidth, man. It's tough. So,
We can
all
move on to the draft. In the first round, they drafted safety Malik Starks. Good pick. Uh, Second round, they got edge Mike Green, and third round offensive tackle Emory Jones.
yeah, and Mike Green was a first round grade. He ended up sliding because of some of the off the field issues that he had. And he's been getting really solid reviews through the preseason here. So that could be kind of like a good steal on their part,
Mm-hmm.
as long as he can stay out of trouble. Um, yeah, all in all, man, what do you think of these guys, man? I mean, it's Baltimore. It seems to me like they're doing what Baltimore does. They're just staying good. And I don't know that they're ever going to be the kind of team that makes like some massive blockbuster move to try and put them over the top. But, they are the kind of team where it seems like any given year they could make that deep playoff run. You just don't know.
Yeah, like the only problem with Baltimore is trusting Lamar.
Yeah.
I mean, phenomenal regular season quarterback, questionable postseason quarterback.
Yeah. They
And
need to
so
be. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
and so the thing with Green, the reason he slid was he had two sexual assault allegations from his past that were he wasn't charged with anything on them, but that's kind of why he slid. And apparently they did their due diligence on it and trusted it and trusted him, and he was there, which is
They
kind
did
of
their process.
they traded one questionable behavior guy with another possible questionable behavior guy. So
Okay. Yeah. And, for Lamar, what you were saying to me, it's get to the playoffs, which is they're like a guarantee unless Lamar gets hurt like early in the year, right? Get to the playoffs and then basically rely on your defense in Derrick Henry as much as possible. Like I would just have Derrick Henry run the ball 30 something times a game and hope that your defense can just like clamp down. And that way you're not going to put pressure on Lamar to do something stupid and throw it
mm-hmm.
away.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Or I would even tell Lamar, hey, hate to say it to you, but you're not throwing the ball. Derrick Henry's going to run 30 times, and then you're going to run 15 times. Hey, that's all we're going to do.
That's only 45 plays. You get closer to 60 in there. So
Well, they're going to have to, mix in, what's his face, the backup running back, and maybe do some tush pushes with the tight end. I don't know, man. They'll figure it out.
maybe that's why they brought in Cooper Rush to have somebody that could throw the ball down the field.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, it's third and short. Cooper Rush, get your ass in there, man. Yeah. All right. So next up, we got the Cincinnati Bengals, man.
All right, so the Bengals, they lost Khalil Herbert, running back, tackle Trent Brown, guard Alex Kappa, edge Sam Hubbard retired. defensive line, Sheldon Rakins, Jay Tufele. Linebackers, Akeem Davis Gaither, Jermaine Pratt, corner Mike Hilton, and safety Von Bell.
Yeah, and a few years ago, Mike Hilton and Von Bell were pretty highly regarded. I've not heard a whole lot about them in recent times, which makes me think that maybe they've been fading a little bit. Sam Hubbard, I liked him a lot, but hey, guys retired, that's how it goes. And then Trent Brown, he was, one of those guys, you go back to the Patriots era where he was good at times and then he was hurt a lot and, bounced around a bit. And it just, it seemed like when he was healthy, he was good, but, he was always a question mark. And so, let's take, yeah.
And their offensive line needed a little bit of revamping. Like,
they still can't seem to get it right.
Exactly. So I'm fine with losing those two. Maybe that's the sauce that was needed to fix the offensive line.
Yeah. So then in terms of, players acquired, they brought in Desmond Ridder to back up Joe Burrow. They brought in Samaje Perine, which they brought him back is really what it was. He went to Denver for a little while and Kansas City for a little while, or I don't even know how it all worked. But anyhow, he's back with these guys. And then let's see, Lucas Patrick signed at guard, not like earth-shattering. Taven Bryan signed at defensive tackle, also not exactly earth-shattering, but I mean, he was like a former first-round pick, though, so that's fine. They signed DJ Slayton to a 2-year, $15.1 million deal. Honestly, I'm not like super familiar with him.
I'm not familiar with DJ. I'm familiar with TJ.
TJ Slayton. I said DJ.
Yeah,
okay, well,
it sounded like you said DJ. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was just fine.
I got a bit of a stuffed nose here, James. It's coming through a little muffled, maybe, but that's all good. And then, let's see what they do in the draft here, man.
All right. So in the draft, in the first round, they picked Shamar Stewart. Second, linebacker Demetrius Knight Jr. And third round, they picked Dylan Fairchild. I think Fairchild, that's a good pick. He's probably going to be their starting left guard. Shamar Stewart, I like that pick. They needed something on the defensive line, and we thought that was signaling the end of Hendrickson there, but then they signed him to that massive contract.
They need them both, right? Because Hubbard retired and, there's been a changing of the guard up with the defense in general. I like some of what they're doing. I just think, to me, it's nowhere near enough to get them back into like a Super Bowl conversation.
It's not enough to get them back in the Super Bowl conversation. It's absolutely not enough to win their division. They're trying to win with talented offense and brand new defense that nobody knows anything about, which I don't know if that's possible. It might be able to win some games, but I don't think it's possible to do that and take yourself to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, usually the surprise factor comes on the offense, right? But we know what you're getting with them. They're one of the best. It's defenses. It's can they get these guys to assimilate quick enough to not be a sieve like they were these past couple seasons. And even with Shamar Stewart, it's nice that they brought him in, but they had that contract dispute up with him up until just recently. And so, there you go. Your number one overall pick had like almost no time in the offseason practicing with the team. So it just, it's not good. It's unfortunate, man.
It's not good. It's unfortunate. I think they're kind of right where they were last year. I think they'll bounce back a little bit because I think last year was kind of historically bad with how much talent I thought was on the team. But I don't know. It's not, like I said, it's not going to be enough to win the division. And we have less than a minute.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll take our 10-minute timeout and we'll get back to come back to the Cleveland Browns, man.
All right, cool.
All right, we are back, and we are talking about the Cleveland Browns now. James, why don't you run us through their departures, my man?
All right, so they lost Dorian Thompson Robinson, Jameis Winston at quarterback. I mean, they have Deshaun Watson, so they're fine there. They have lost Nick Chubb, Donta Foreman, Naheem Hines. Say that 5 times fast. At running back, Elijah Moore at wide receiver. Tight ends don't mean anything. They lost 4 offensive tackles. I don't know if I think maybe Hudson and Adeniji.
They've lost a lot of people, dude.
Guard Michael Dunn, center Nick Harris, edge James Houston. Defensive line, they lost Maurice Hurst, Dalvin Tomlinson. Linebacker, they lost Jordan Hicks to retirement. Kaliki Hudson. They lost Rodney McLeod and Juan Thornhill at safety.
Yeah, I mean, some of these are known names, right? But a lot of them are either well past their prime or faded guys. I would say the one that is bigger that is worth pointing out is Jedrick Wills at tackle, but I say that, and he's still a free agent. So, they obviously saw something, and other teams are seeing it too, which is why he hasn't signed. And so he might have been a big part of that offensive line in the past, but seems like his days are done. In terms of acquisitions, they brought back Joe Flacco, and he's their starter for week 1 is what they announced. They did bring in Kenny Pickett, which has already changed, right? Because they now have traded him away to the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, wide receiver. So you mentioned the Deontay Johnson thing. They brought him in, but they've already cut him. Cornelius Lucas at tackle, Tevin Jenkins at guard. Those are worth noting. Man, Joe Tryon Shionka, however you say his name, they brought him in at edge. Malik Collins, 2-year, $20 million deal. That's worth noting. And then Devin Bush, they brought him in for a 1 year, see what they can get out of that guy. And so, I mean, Devontae Kazee at safety, I guess you could mention him. Not like a ton of like crazy big signings, right? But they're not in a position to be doing that anyhow. So,
yeah, I mean, they have to rebuild through the draft, and not sign, like kind of blow it up, keep a couple pieces, and rebuild everything else through the draft. Which brings us to the draft. They drafted Mason Graham, defensive tackle from Michigan. I love that pick for them.
mm-hmm.
In the second round, they got linebacker Carson Schwessinger and
Looks legit so far.
Who looks legit. Quinshon Judkins, who hasn't signed yet.
What? He didn't sign? Well, I knew he had like the domestic assault thing, but I heard that it got like cleared enough that they didn't plan on him being suspended or anything like that. And I didn't realize he hadn't signed.
Maybe he did sign, and I'm just Quinshon Judkins.
Yeah, and while you're looking that up, they did draft 2 quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, who are expected to be their 2 and 3 respectively. Obviously, everybody in the world that pays attention to football knew about the Shedeur Sanders slide. So,
okay, he did sign. He signed yesterday.
oh geez. So yeah, what's his status going to be for week 1? This was a guy that everybody thought when they drafted him, he would be like the guaranteed week 1 starter. Doesn't sound like that's necessarily the case now. And I do want to mention Harold Fannin in the 3rd round at tight end. I've heard a lot of good stuff about him so far.
Yeah. Yesterday. No, he has not signed yet.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. So they'll be rolling with Jerome Ford at running back.
See, which is weird because it says. So I'm getting conflicted. So hold on. Okay, so he hasn't signed. The slot is supposed to be 11.4 million, but it's not signed. Wow, that's weird.
Yeah, so Cleveland.
What?
I love the Mason or whatever. What's the guy? Mason Graham out of Michigan.
Yeah.
I love that one. You put him next to Myles Garrett, and you got like a really nasty defensive line. I think that's great. Schlesinger, they're saying, looks like a plug and play day one starter. So that's nice. It just you got Flacco running out there at quarterback, man. And then you look at what they got behind him, and I don't have any faith that this team is going to take any kind of a shot at sneaking into the playoffs.
No, I don't either.
So, yeah, that's about all I got to say about that.
All right. I got to pause a minute.
Sure. All right, we're back, and we are on to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, so the Steelers had quite a few losses here. They lost Kyle Allen, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson at quarterback.
Every quarterback, yeah.
Najee Harris at running back, Van Jefferson, George Pickens, and Mike Williams at wide receiver.
Yeah, the whole offense, basically.
Tackle Dan Moore, Jr., guard James Daniels, edge Preston Smith, defensive line Montravius Adams, Larry Ogunjobi, linebacker Eldon Roberts, cornerbacks Dante Jackson, Cam Sutton, safety Mika Fitzpatrick, and DeMonte Kazee.
Yeah, that's a lot. In terms of the acquisition side of things, the big one everybody knows about, they brought in Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. They also brought back Mason Rudolph to back him up. They brought in Kenneth Gainwell at running back. He's going to be part of their depth. DK Metcalf, they got him in a trade with Seattle. He'll be their wide receiver one. Aside from him, they're throwing a dart at Robert Woods and Scotty Miller. Jonnu Smith is going to be paired up now with Pat Freiermuth. That kind of gives them a pretty good 1-2 punch at tight end. And then in terms of the defensive side of the ball, they brought in Malik Harrison at defensive line. They got Jalen Ramsey from Miami as part of that trade where they gave up Fitzpatrick. Then also in the secondary, they brought in Darius Slay, Deshaun Elliott, who formerly with them, I believe. Or wait, no, he was with Baltimore. Or maybe, I think it was Baltimore. Either way. And then Juan Thornhill. And so they're making moves, man. They're making moves.
Yeah, they are. Let's take a look.
Well, I know Deshaun Elliott played for the Lions for a little bit and then the Dolphins and whatever, but where was he before?
Baltimore.
Okay, gotcha.
All right.
So, yeah, and then in the draft, they had a first and a third. So they took defensive tackle Derek Harmon and then running back Caleb Johnson. And the expectation is that Caleb Johnson and Jalen Warren are going to round out their committee. They're going to stick with that 1-2 punch like they'd like to use.
Yeah, and it's rare we go outside the first three, but I want to call attention to drafting Will Howard.
Sure.
I love that pick for him. If you watch Will Howard play, he's kind of like a poor man's Roethlisberger.
Oh, gotcha.
And I think like I think that could, because they know how to use that type of quarterback with what they had Roethlisberger for what Tom was there for 4 years with Roethlisberger, I think.
Yeah, they were together for a while, yeah. All right, let's see
Yeah.
what happened with Dante Kent, seventh rounder, Central Michigan. Chips. Looks like he got put on IR, so that's a bummer. That is a bummer, but that's cool. I like seeing those Central Michigan guys get drafted. So Pittsburgh, all in all, I mean, this to me, usually when you have a good team, you don't see this much churn, but
Mm-hmm.
it was a good team that fell apart a couple years ago with Kenny Pickett, and last year basically bottomed out with Russell Wilson and company. And Tomlin just said, "F this. We're gonna sort of like strategically nuke this team and see if we can get back on track." And so I like what they did. And I think if there's a chance to get these guys assimilated quickly, Tomlin's the coach to do that. It's just really going to be a matter of, are we going to get anything decent out of Aaron Rodgers, right? Because I don't
Yeah.
know, man. I know the stats kind of came together
So,
for him last year, but he looked like shit to me.
oh, a lot of the stats were garbage time stats. So last year they made the playoffs, so that's not too bad. But they lost to Baltimore 28-14 in the.
Yeah, and I'm saying they're
In
bottoming out, right? Because
the
they haven't
first
won a
round.
playoff game in
Yeah, I
forever
just
now.
think they had. Yeah, well, so when they traded for Minka, was it Minka or was it the other one? I'm getting them confused in my head. When they traded for
Minka
Minka,
Fitzpatrick.
yeah, when they traded for him, my comment was that Miami would win a playoff game before Pittsburgh.
Oh, gotcha.
And I think it's been I want to say it's been like 7-8 years since they last won a playoff game.
Yeah, I would say Tomlin is pretty fortunate that they've hung on to him, to be honest. I think he's a phenomenal coach, but nobody gets that kind of a leash where you can go that long without winning a playoff game.
It was 2017.
It's a long time, long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that what they're doing, it's going to all hinge on Rodgers. Can he get him over the hump? Because I think Tomlin will get all the rest of these guys to do what Tomlin gets them to do. He just needs a quarterback that can be good enough to get him to win a playoff game. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
man, we're talking possibly serious changes in Pittsburgh next year because we know Rodgers is done. And if they don't make the play, or if they don't win the playoffs, or let's just say they don't make the playoffs, man, I mean that could be the final shot for Tomlin, man.
See, but that's the unfortunate thing about it is because really, if Will Howard isn't who I think he is at quarterback for them and not their quarterback of the future, really to get their quarterback for the future, they have to bottom out.
Oh, for
And
sure.
and I think bottoming out means they have to get rid of Tomlin first because Tomlin finds that way to be above 500 somehow.
Well, yeah, but I could see, like, here's a scenario that nobody would ever want to talk about, but I could see it where they either get in the playoffs and lose right off the bat again in a wild card, and he gets fired because they
Mm-hmm.
just say, "Hey, we love you to death, man. You're a great coach, but the fan base is going to start lighting shit on fire if we don't win a playoff game, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And so they bounce him. The team is good enough that they're not going to get the high draft pick, right? So they end up bringing in, like a new up and coming coach who basically ends up either working a miracle with a quarterback like Will Howard, or he ends up being a fall guy where he's got to fall on the sword in a year or two when they really bottom out. And that's when you see him get a good enough draft pick to get the quarterback and do a traditional rebuild. But, Pittsburgh, for, everything they've had going on all these years, they've been able to avoid the traditional rebuild, and hopefully they can still avoid that. But it just, at some point you gotta say, hey man, enough's enough. We got to win some playoff games.
No, 100% on that. And I'm trying to think when the last time Pittsburgh was it before? I think it was before drafting Roethlisberger.
When they had an actual real rebuild, it was for sure before Roethlisberger. Yeah.
No, I mean I think it was like right before. I'm sorry. I was saying I think it was right before Roethlisberger.
Yeah, because Roethlisberger was like, I don't know, the 7th overall pick or something. So they must have had Roethlisberger. Yeah, I mean, I'll look it up, but I guess he was 11. So yeah, maybe not that high.
And what year was he drafted?
2004.
So in 2004, 2003 season, yep, they were 6-10.
Yeah, there's some shit ass teams that would love to be 6-10, right?
Yeah.
They would love that to be their worst season in fucking 30 years or 20 years, whatever. Because I mean, hey, they had Cowher fucking rocked them out for a long time before, man.
Yeah, so 2003 was their worst season since 99.
Fucking amazing fucking run, dude.
Since 1990, they've had 4 losing seasons.
Yeah. That's a high quality team, dude. High quality organization. All right, so
Holy
let's
shit.
move on
They
to
only have
Chicago.
Wait. Okay. I was like going back to 1972, they only have 7 losing seasons.
That's
And then
nuts.
before that they were almost all losing seasons.
Yeah, that's still nuts though, going back to the 70s like that. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to the NFC North. We're starting off with the Chicago Bears. Why don't you give us those departures, James?
All right, so the Bears, they got rid of their coach midseason. Perfect for them. Sorry. They lost Keenan Allen, Dondre Carter, Colin Johnson at wide receiver, tight ends Gerald Everett and Mercedes Lewis. Their entire offensive line. 2 tackles, Larry Broom, Jake Curran. Offensive guards, Tavon Jenkins, Matt Pryor, and center Coleman Shelton. Lost edge, Daryl Taylor, Jacob Martin, DeMarcus Walker. Defensive lineman Brian Cowart.
Yep, so they made some moves, but no surprise when you got a regime change. They ended up bringing in Case Keenum at quarterback, which seems strange to me because, I mean, I guess maybe they're going to keep a third quarterback, but Caleb Williams is the one. Tyson Bagent looks like the clear 2, which means Keenum would be like a reserve or a 3 guy, but whatever, that's fine. Wide receiver, they brought in Devin Duvernay.
But
Oh, you're breaking up on me.
Makes sense because in the NFL nowadays, you need that third receiver because of like if you look at what happened with. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're talking about having a third quarterback.
Yeah. No,
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, look what happened with San Francisco. Look what happened with San Francisco a couple of years ago. They were a win away from the Super Bowl, and they had to play McCaffrey at quarterback, basically. Because both their quarterbacks, they had Purdy went down with the arm injury, and then whoever his backup was, I can't remember, went down with the. I'm sorry. Yeah, Purdy went down with the arm injury, and then his backup went down with a concussion.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. Yeah, and so that's fine. So Devin Duvernay, and I mean, I guess let me just go back to that. So I guess what I in my mind, I would have thought Case Keenum could have found a job as a two somewhere. Is what I'm trying to say. Like I
Sure.
understand that teams, some of them want that third quarterback in the reserve role, and that's fine. But I just with Keenum being around for so long, I thought he'd be a two somewhere. But that's fine. Okay, so Devin Duvernay, wide receiver. The big thing was they fortified the offensive line, bringing in Jonah Jackson and Joe Tooney at guard, and then Drew Dahlman at center. So they really dropped some dough to beef up the offensive line. They brought in Daya Odenigbo at edge. That was a big signing. Grady Jarrett at defensive tackle. Tano Sapignon, which however you say his name, he I thought I saw that he was dropped down to the practice squad, which I thought was weird because I thought he'd be a good depth player for them, but that's okay. And then Kyler Gordon at cornerback. And so I would say that Chicago, they made some decent moves so far. Why don't you give us the draft here, man, where they had 4 picks in the first 3 rounds, one first and three second rounders.
Yeah. So really quick on passing on or whatever, I'm looking at their 53 man, and he's not on it.
Gotcha.
So they drafted tight end Colson Loveland. No pun intended. I love that for them. Unfortunately, wide receiver, and that was their number 10 overall pick. Then in the second round, they drafted wide receiver Luther Burden, offensive tackle Ozzie Trapio, and defensive tackle Shamar Turner.
Yeah, I mean they're with Ben Johnson coming in at head coach, Ryan Poles has put them in, I would say, the best possible position for a team to do a worst to first in their
Uh-huh.
division. It's just a matter of can Detroit and the rest of us hold them back another year or whatever, because on paper, they're there. Now, the thing is, on paper, that usually doesn't mean shit. On paper, they were there the last fucking 2 years and nothing happened for them, right? And so, um, will it be different now with Ben Johnson? Only time will tell.
Only time will tell exactly.
All right, next up, we got the Detroit Lions, my man.
All right, so the Lions lost. They cut what's his name? Hendon Hooker, finally. They lost Teddy Bridgewater, backup quarterbacks, wide receiver Allen Robinson. They lost guard Kevin Zeitler, Frank Rednow, their center retired, edge Darius Smith, linebacker Ben Neiman, defensive line John Kaminsky retired, Kyle Pecco. They lost Reeves Maven at linebacker, Carlton Davis at corner, Ifite Melifanu at corner, Emmanuel Mosley at corner, and Kindle Vildor at corner. Interesting thing about some of these players that are still not signed is I had read that when the Lions cut down to their 53-man roster, they cut it down to 50.
Yeah, I heard that there was a plan all along, unless something changed, that they were going to try to bring back Zadarius Smith.
Yeah, so I don't know why they exactly. I mean, they cut it down to 50 so they have a plan. They got to have a plan somewhere.
Yeah. And I would like to see Zadarius Smith come back. I think it's a bummer with Zeitler leaving and then Ragnow retiring. That, I think, is going to be a huge issue for the Lions, which we can talk more about in a minute. I loved John Kaminsky. Bummer that he retired. I heard it was a health kind of thing, an injury kind of thing. He was a good rotational guy on the defensive line for us. And then, yeah, I mean, in the secondary, hey, Carlton Davis was good for us, but overall, and Ifeatu Melifanu wasn't bad either. But something had to change, man. I mean, this
Mm-hmm.
defense just doesn't ever seem to get there. And so, let's take a look at the acquisitions. They brought in Kyle Allen. He is going to be the 2 behind Jared Goff. They did Okay, so they re-signed Tim Patrick, but they've now traded him. So he's gone, which I think it was good. They got a 6th round pick for him in a trade. Um, let's see, who did they bring in that I want to talk about? I mean, Roy Lopez, 1 year, $4.65 million deal. Not like a family known name, but he has had decent ratings in the past for a backup kind of defensive lineman. Um, Derek Barnes, why are they saying we signed him? I mean, we've had him, but so must just, oh, it's an extension. Okay. Signed him. It always bums me out when they don't just say re-signed, but it's because it's an extension. I get it. Okay. Zach
Yeah. So
Cunningham signed at linebacker. Avante Maddox signed at cornerback. DJ Reed they brought in. He was really the big free agent signing. And then Rock Ya-Sin, they brought him in. He looked amazing in preseason. Rock Ya-Sin looks like, he gives me hope that we're actually going to have good depth in the secondary this year.
yeah, one thing I want to go back to on their departures because it's not listed on here is because they initially re-signed them, but Dan Skipper didn't make the 53
Oh,
man
yeah. It's
roster.
good to point that out because, yeah, a lot of people know Dan Skipper here in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Why don't you give us the draft then, my man?
All right, so in the draft, the Lions had drafted Tyleek Williams from defensive tackle from Ohio State.
Big
They
hoss.
drafted Tate Rutledge, guard from Georgia, in the 2nd round, and Isaac Tesla, wide receiver, in the 3rd. Tesla's looked really good, I think.
Yeah, so far, the preseason is the preseason, and right? So, you can only glean so much out of it, but a lot of people are saying he's checking all the boxes. And they were
Mm-hmm.
saying that that's one of the reasons why they were comfortable trading Tim Patrick. Ratledge, I'm hoping this guy figures it out real quick for week one. And I've heard mixed things about him so far, but he was the highest rated athletic rated offensive lineman in the draft this year. Looks like everything's there for him to be a day one starter, and we need him to not just be a day one starter, be day one really fucking good starter. And then Tyleek Williams at defensive tackle, I think that was a great pick. Basically, you got Alan McNeil, coming off of that knee injury, whatever. And so this will ease some of that return for him. And then, Frick, when both those guys are healthy, having both of them with Hutch, hopefully we can find another edge guy. I mean, that's a pretty formidable defensive line finally that we're trying to get to.
So,
And I am bummed out. I will say this, Ahmed Hassanain, however you say his name, he was our 6th round edge guy, had really good reviews and workouts and whatnot in the offseason, ended up getting hurt. They ended up waiving him with an injury settlement. That one kind of bummed me out because he was super raw, but actually looked like he had some potential of maybe making the roster until he got hurt.
yeah, so it looks like the starting offensive line this week one is going to be from left tackle through Tyler Decker, Christian Mahogany, Graham Glasgow at center, Ratledge at right guard, and Penny Sewell at right guard. I think if Ratledge can get it together and show what we think he can do, I think that could be a formidable right side of the line. Mahogany, I don't know much about.
Yeah, I think the risk is you have 3 players in the middle that are, not what we had last year.
Yeah.
Mahogany, I like Graham Glasgow, but I like him as a rotational guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Ratledge, he's an unknown. And so it's like, man, you go from having a top 5 offensive line to it's kind of a wild card, man. Penny Sewell, is going to be amazing. Taylor Decker, love him or not, I'm not a huge fan personally, but he's good enough, right? And then it's just it's like, ah, shit, man, that whole middle of the line now makes me nervous. And Glasgow has been good in the past when he's played center, and he's also played guard, and he's got that versatility. But man, it's like we need him to stay healthy, and we need him to lock it down because he's got guys on both sides of him now that One's a rookie, and then one for sure is got some question marks.
And so I'm looking at the Lions' current injury report. Fuck.
Oh shit.
It's gonna be a rough season. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players already on IR. 7, 2, 3, 4, 6. They have 6 players on IR. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other players listed as out, and 1, 2, 3 players listed as questionable.
They already have guys listed as out.
Yeah. So Taylor Decker and Graham Glasgow and Terrion Arnold are listed as questionable. I haven't looked into it. Out, they have Miles Frazier, their like 6th or 7th round pick.
Yeah, I'm not worried about
5th round pick. Out, they have Aleem McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike,
yeah.
and Pascal and Rodrigo listed as out. On
IR,
they have Kenny Yoba, Justin Heron. I mean, depth. Colby Sorsdahl on the offensive line, tight ends. Oh, guys, one's the tight end. Listed IR. They have linebacker Ezekiel Turner, Dan Jackson on the IR, and Rex Strauss on the IR.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's right. Rakestraw is probably the biggest one out of them, to be honest, because there was an expectation of him progressing and taking on a bigger role this year. But like with Ella McNeil and Rodrigo, I was expecting them to have a slow return based off of their injuries from last year, and so that doesn't surprise me. The rest of them, I think, are kind of like depth options, which it'd be great to have them for sure. But the way you started it off made me think, oh shit, who got hurt, right? So
no. So I just was looking at it and I was like, I'm just saying, like, fucking injuries and the Lions, like,
yeah, it's we're a mirror image of the fucking 49ers all of a sudden.
Yeah, even though it's a lot of depth people, it fucking gives me heartache.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, with the Lions, man, the changes of the coordinators, and then you got the roster churn. I actually personally, with exception to the offensive line question marks, I like this roster more. I think that they're doing a good job getting their guys, and I have faith that they're choosing wisely and getting their guys because they've earned that faith, right? They've earned that trust after year of getting better and better now. And so to me, the biggest wild card is that interior 3 on the offensive line. I think that is bigger than the concern with the coordinators, but the coordinators are a concern. And so I could see this team starting slow and people losing their shit. I believe Dan Campbell's a great coach. Brad Holmes a great GM. They're going to figure it out as the season goes on. But I think you got to manage your expectations on what that means. I would not say it's a Super Bowl run. I would not say it's another 15, 14, whatever win season. I would say, we're going to have a little bit of coming back to reality this year, but the future is still very bright. There was just a lot of shit we had to deal with this year.
Yeah, and one of the things, and you say you don't see a Super Bowl run. You heard Gronk's prediction, right?
No, I didn't. Did he pick the Lions?
He picked the Lions to win the Super Bowl.
Fucking love Gronk, dude. Fucking love him. Yeah, I mean, hey, obviously I want that, right? But I'm in a sandbag. I'm always going to sandbag, dude. I'm always going to fucking sandbag the Lions. You and I hyped them up last year, and it was great that we did that, right? But, pretty much every year in the past before that, we've been very, very hesitant, Yeah.
But last year they had all the makings to make that run, and if it weren't for injuries and fucking the offensive coordinators forgetting how to call plays in the playoffs, I think it was a solid chance.
I agree. All right, Green Bay is up. Why don't you give us those departures, James? I'm going to blow my nose real quick while you're talking.
All right, so Green Bay lost A.J. Dillon at running back. They lost Andre Dillard and Josh Myers, offensive tackle center. They lost T.J. Slayton, defensive tackle, linebacker Eric Wilson, cornerbacks Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes, and Corey Ballantyne. Not too bad. Not that much of a too big of departures. Like Jair Alexander, I don't even think played last year.
Yeah, this is not a horrible list.
No.
And then in terms of guys they brought in, it's actually small too. You know, they brought in Mecole Hardman.
Right, but they cut him.
Oh, all right. So they brought him in, they cut him. They brought in Zach Tom on the offensive line. That's an extension. I was like, wait a minute. Our little 10-minute warning here. Let's see. Aaron Banks got the big deal. That's right. He was the guy I was thinking of from the 49ers. Okay, they brought in Isaiah Simmons at linebacker, but I think they also waived him. I don't know if you could check that real quick, but
I can.
And then cornerback Nate Hobbs. And so Simmons was really just a flyer, right? He's a former first-round pick that never could figure it out and never could latch onto a team, and they were just taking their crack at him. That's all. No harm, no foul.
So with Isaiah Simmons, they released him.
Okay, no big deal. All right, draft-wise, man, give me 1 through 3.
I'm sorry, I got to get it open because how I'm doing it. Okay, so they in the first round they picked Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas. I think that's a solid pick. They finally picked. We talked about them not picking wide receivers in the first round. It's like the first wide receiver in the first round they picked in like 15 years. Mm-hmm. They picked up Anthony Belton, offensive tackle, and then in the second round, and then in the third round they picked Savion Williams, wide receiver again.
And I liked that pick, but I've not heard shit about him, so it makes me wonder. Maybe he just slowed to come along.
Yeah, I haven't heard shit about him either. I'm wondering. My honest wonder is if he was hurt.
Maybe. You know, the tough thing is it's like, okay, so you got Matthew Golden now, who's expected to at some point be their wide receiver 1. This is a team that's kind of had like a 3 or 4 man rotation of guys that could be a wide receiver 2 on pretty much like any other team, but none of them have been like a true wide receiver 1, right? And so that's where I could see Savion Williams just kind of like disappearing into the background because he's got to fight with a lot of guys that have good experience and fairly quality experiences like 2s or 3s, right? So
this article I found on Savion Williams says that he looks like a massive steal after preseason.
that's great, man. Then he's been flying under the radar because I haven't heard shit. But we talked about it during the draft that I loved his profile. He was a guy I was kind of like, you know, secretly hoping the Lions might be able to get a snag at some point. And hey, we'll see. You know, we'll see. So, yeah, I mean, overall with Green Bay, you know, this is kind of a typical Green Bay offseason, right? Not a ton of moves, not a ton of flashy moves. You know, really, they got the one offensive lineman they spent some big money on. And they're trying to build in the draft. And it looks like they nailed the draft, but you don't really know until you get a few years out. You know, what does that mean for them? I think that there's a good chance they get back to the playoffs. I'm still not convinced that you can call them a Super Bowl team, though.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So, like, what that article is saying is it looks like Savion Williams could be week 1 starter.
That'd be sweet. Well, I did hear that Dobbs was on the out, which means you would have Golden, Jaden Reed, and maybe I guess Christian Watson. Well, and then they also have what's his face? They
But
got another
Watson's
guy.
hurt.
Okay, Watson's hurt, so that opens the door. Yeah, I mean, there's a path, man. There's a path.
So they have one. Okay, they have 7 receivers on the roster: Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Christian Watson, Golden, Williams, Dobbs, Malik Heath. Watson is out. Is listed out on the injury report, and they're listing Savion Williams behind Golden. So I think he could slide in for Dobbs, from what I'm reading.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm good on Minnesota, my man.
Yeah, I'm good on Minnesota too. We'll probably have to.
Oh, I mean on Green Bay. So we go to Minnesota. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, I had moved to Minnesota. That's why I said the same exact thing as you.
All right. Gotcha.
So,
all right, why don't you give us those departures?
All right, we'll run through the departures really quick. 5 minutes. All right, so quarterbacks: Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, Nick Mullins. Wide receiver Cam Akers, who went to the Saints but then was cut. Wide receiver Brandon Powell, Trent Sherfield. Tight end Johnny Mon, nothing big there. Tackles Quisenberry and Robinson. Guards Ed Ingram, Dan Freeney, Dalton Risner. Center Garrett Bradbury. Edge Patrick Jones and Jihad Ward. Defensive line Jerry Tillery, Jonathan Bullard. Linebacker, who cares? Cornerbacks Stephon Gilmore, Shaquille Griffin, Fabian Marie, however, and safety Cam Bynum. A lot of churn here.
Yeah, for a team that won 14 games last year, that's a shitload of fucking churn, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's look at who they brought in. They brought in Jordan Mason from the 49ers in a trade. So he's not just going to back up Aaron Jones. I'm hearing that it's going to be a committee, that they like him that much that they want to keep Aaron Jones fresh, and it's going to be a pretty solid 1-2 punch is what I'm getting. They brought in Rondale Moore, but he got hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he's on IR out for the year hurt.
He's out for the year.
Then, similar to Chicago, they decided to fortify their interior offensive line, signing
go back
Will
to wide
Fries.
receiver. They brought back Thielen.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they just traded with Carolina for Thielen. So he's coming back, giving them some depth. Because they also have Jordan Addison on a 3-game suspension to start the year. So
Addison suspended. Rondale Moore's on the IR.
Jefferson's dealing with a hamstring, but they're saying he's going to be ready.
Naylor's injured.
Yeah. So Will Fries, Ryan Kelly on the offensive line. Then they went and grabbed Jonathan Allen. I really liked that signing on the defensive line. Paired it with fucking Javon Hargrave. Man, they just I mean, you could say, oh, hey, they signed Jeff Okudah at cornerback if you want to, point that out as a former Lions guy. But it just they really did great in the acquisition department, in my opinion. And then I guess we got the draft. Why don't you give us the draft and we'll sum it up?
All right. So they had first, third, they picked Donovan Jackson, guard from Ohio State, and Ty Felton, and that was first round, third round. Ty Felton, wide receiver from Maryland. I like the guard pick. I don't know much about the wide receiver. It looks like he's questionable already. So who knows? Look, Minnesota is starting a rookie quarterback. They need not a rookie, second-year quarterback that hasn't started.
Basically, yeah.
They needed the churn on the offensive line to protect him. They gave up with Darnold. Darnold could handle the pass rush more than a guy that's seeing it for the first time, and that's what they did.
Yeah, I think it was a solid offseason. I think their defense is going to be fucking lights out again.
Hmm.
It's, you know, their success is going to largely depend on JJ McCarthy. And,
Exactly.
can he be mediocre in his first year as a starter? Because they have the defense, they have the running game, and they have all of the receiving weapons for there to be a fucking great run with this team this year. It's just going to depend on him. And I don't know. I'm not a huge JJ McCarthy fan. I didn't really see enough in the highlights from him at Michigan for me to really think he should have been a first rounder, but the analysts all disagree. They all think he was highly rated, and so time will tell. We are
Time will
down to
tell.
less than a minute, my man. I
We're
will
down to less than 10 seconds, so I'll talk to you in 10 minutes.
sound. All right, we're back, man. So we were leaving off with Minnesota, talking about it all kind of hinging on JJ McCarthy. Um, that wraps up our AFC, NFC outlooks. If you would like, we can go through and we can just kind of zip through and give our overall team record predictions and what we see going on. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right, my man. In the past we've done this by division, starting with the AFC East. So what do you got going on with Buffalo and company?
All right, so for the AFC East, I have Buffalo at 13-4, New England at 6-11, Miami at 5-12, and the Jets at 5-12.
Okay. All right. And so before I give you mine, I'll just let you know, which I told you before the show. I did mine based on the overall team ratings on the new Madden game, and I plugged them into the schedule. I did a adjustment based on whether the team was home or away to try and give the home team a little bit of a benefit. And I did my best to account for the international games kind of negating that home field advantage. I also put a little bit of a factor for teams coming off of a bye, and I saved week 18 until I had everything else done to kind of figure out, do those games actually matter or not, and starters going to be benched, all that kind of fun stuff. I was surprised at the results. This division wasn't as crazy as some that we're going to get to, but for this one, I shared Buffalo with you at 13-4. Then I had the Patriots at 9-8, the Dolphins at 8-9, and the Jets at 7-10.
Wow.
I mean, the Dolphins at 8-9, I don't think is crazy. It's just a matter of basically Tua staying healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which you don't think is going to happen, apparently. In history would be with you, right, James?
All right. Then we go to the NFC East. I had a little bit of movement from my way too early. I now have Philadelphia winning the division at 12-5,
Okay.
Washington at 11-6,
Okay.
Dallas at 7-10, and then the Giants at 4-13.
Gotcha. So, excuse me. I've also got Philly winning it. I got them at 14-3, which I thought that was thick, right? I would have liked to see a few shaved off of it. You don't typically see, Super Bowl teams just come back and romp it like that hard again, but that's okay. After them, I had Washington at 11-6, so I was matching you on that. Dallas at 7-10, matching you on that. And then I had the Giants at fucking 2-15, which racked my fucking brain. I went back and I tried to scrub it and figure out, what am I doing wrong here? And obviously it's the process, and I'm relying a lot on the Madden ratings and whatever. But when I look at their schedule, man, it looks fucking brutal for the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta believe, with everything they've done at quarterback and in all the offseason moves, I got to believe they're going to do better for sure than 2-15. I just can't figure out where those wins are coming from.
Yeah, so outside of the division, they have Kansas City, the Chargers, um, Denver, New England's not that bad.
Yeah, but I think New England beats them.
Yeah, me too. The Detroit, Minnesota.
I mean, every team that you're naming so far is like a clearly better team.
San Francisco. Like, okay, New
Where do
Orleans.
you have them getting wins, man? I got
I
them
have
winning. I got them winning at home against Green Bay and Minnesota.
I had them. All right, so I had them beating Washington late
Okay,
because I think that's a trap game for
it's coming.
Washington.
Yeah, and they're coming off a bye, and it's a home game in the division. I like that one.
I have them beating San Francisco. I have them beating Philadelphia. And the reason why I have them beating Philadelphia the first game is because it's sandwiched between two potentially tough games. So it could be a letdown game.
Okay,
And I have them beating New Orleans.
gotcha. Yeah, that's all good. I, just curious because here's the thing: their defense was great last year, and it should be even better this year. And to me, that's a wild card. When a team has a defense that's that good, I would usually like to see them at like 6 or 7 wins. I just
Mm-hmm.
could not figure out where to like manually override what I'm seeing on the Madden model, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I hear you. Like, I mean, I have them at 4-13, and a couple of the wins, like two of the wins, I can pull right off. Washington late and Philadelphia. Those are
Yeah, yeah,
stretches.
yeah.
I
Those
mean,
are
three
those
of
are
them.
like
Like
yeah,
San
yeah,
Francisco's a little bit of a stretch.
yeah. But you got to believe they're going to squeeze some in somewhere. The defense is
Yeah.
going to surprise somebody. All right, man. Where do you want to go next?
All right, let's go to the South. All right, I have Houston at 10-7, Indy at 5-12, Jacksonville at 4-13, Tennessee at 3-14.
Okay. We're fairly close here. I had Houston at 11-6, Indy at 7-10, Jacksonville 5-12, Tennessee 3-14. And so, a couple games here, a couple games there, but I would say, somewhat similar in our alignment for this division. In Houston, I think, I wasn't happy about 11 wins in the model with Houston because they've had
Mhm.
so much churn that I think it's shave one or two off. And so you at 10, I would feel more comfortable with. All right, NFC South.
NFC South, I have Tampa Bay at 13-4. I don't really like that, but
Yeah, but their
I
schedule's
mean,
pretty fucking soft.
yeah. Then I have Atlanta at 9-8, Carolina at 7-10, and then New Orleans at 2-15.
Gotcha. Yeah, this one we got some, I don't know, I guess variation couple wins by team basically. I got Tampa Bay at 11-6, Atlanta at 7-10, Carolina at 5-12, and New Orleans at 3-14. And I popped a couple games in yellow for Tampa Bay where I thought, man, they could win these games. I just was not confident in giving them sort of like the edge based on losing Liam Cohen and just some of the talk I'm hearing is that people should expect that offense to regress a little bit this year, and so and that's okay. I still 11 wins gets them the division, so that's fine.
Yeah. All right. Then out west, I have Kansas City at 12-5, Denver at 11-7, the Chargers at 9
11
and
and
8.
6.
Yeah, 11 and 6. You're right.
I was
Sorry.
like, wait a minute, am I doing math bad here? Sorry.
No, so I had them at 10 and 7, and in the
Just
way too
tweak the
early. And when
game.
I
Yeah.
copied it over, I forgot to change the loss
Cool.
column.
Cool.
Chargers at 9 and 8, Vegas at 9 and 8.
Okay. All right. So this one I had Kansas City at 14 and 3. Wasn't huge on that personally, but that's where my model came up at. Denver 11 and 6. I actually felt really good about that. I thought Denver might have been able to even get to 12 wins. I had the Chargers at 12 wins, and then I had the Raiders at 7 and 10. And so the more I looked at this, the more I started kind of telling myself, stop fucking hyping the Raiders because the overall roster quality is still kind of shitty. So, as much as I love Pete Carroll and company, I do need to start kind of like, managing that expectation. Now, this has me sending 3 teams to the playoffs, which we'll get to in a little bit here. But when I looked at Kansas City, Denver, and Los Angeles, I thought, well, you know what? It kind of makes sense because the Chargers played well last year. Obviously, Kansas City, we know who they are. In Denver, fucking skyrocketed. And so I can see that continuing into this year. But let's go on to where are we at? The NFC West now?
All right. So I have both Seattle and San Francisco at 12 and 5, with Seattle winning the tiebreaker. I have the Rams at 9 and 8, and Arizona at 5 and 12. Now with Seattle, the reason why I have them at 12 and 5 is I think outside the division they have a lot of winnable games. Like they have Pittsburgh, they have New Orleans, they have Jacksonville, they have Tennessee, they have Minnesota, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Carolina. Like they have outside the division, they have a very soft schedule.
All right, so I like what you're saying. My model came up with something different. And so I've got at the top, I've got San Francisco 12 and 5. Then I've got the Rams 10 and 7. And then I've got Arizona and Seattle tied at the bottom at 8 and 9, with Seattle getting the tiebreaker between the two, which does come into play for the playoffs. The reason why I suspect Seattle came in 4 games lower in my model than yours is because Madden only has them rated as an 81 overall, which I thought was going to be at least 5 or 6 points higher, to be honest. And so, so I kind of wanted to like manually tweak a couple games. And I like what you're saying. Like, I think for sure at Jacksonville they could win, and in my model they lost. I thought for sure, like at home they could beat Minnesota, but my model had them losing. And so I thought, easily this could be a 10-win team. But I pumped out what the model gave me, and I didn't scrub it too hard because I didn't want to do it that way. But and then, yeah, I did like seeing that it has San Fran having a rebound. I would like to see that. I can't really trust it with all the injuries they keep having every year. So,
no, 100%. And like the Rams, I dropped the Rams. I had them originally and the way too early at 11 and 6, but with the Stafford injury stuff that's going on, I think that's at least 2 games.
Okay. All right, let's go to the AFC North.
All right, so the North, I have Baltimore at 12 and 5, Cincinnati at 10 and 7. I have Pittsburgh at 7 and 10, but I could easily see that them winning. Their range is, I think, between 5 and 9 games.
Sure. Yeah, and with Tomlin, it's going to be 9.
Yeah, and then I have Cleveland getting the number 1 overall pick this year at 1 and 16, 1 and 14.
Yeah, hey, they got disqualified a few. What's going on here, James?
Yeah, 1 and 16.
They just gave up. All right. So for me, I've got Baltimore at 13-4. Then this one I was shocked about. Pittsburgh at 11-6. Cincinnati at 9-8, and Cleveland at 3-14. Cincinnati didn't bother me much because we know their defense is still dog shit. I would have liked to see them get a little bit better, but that's just me personally liking Burrow and Chase and those guys. But I'm still, having a hard time with the model pumping out Pittsburgh at 11-6 because I just don't believe it with Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I can believe it with Tomlin. I can believe it with the defense. The rest of the offense, to me, is a huge question mark. And so I would love to shave a couple games from there, but for the sake of trying to kind of honor the model, that's where we're at, man.
No, I hear you. And like I struggled having Pittsburgh at 7-10 because I
Yeah,
did say like I think they could win 5 games. I think they could win 9 or 10 games.
yeah. It could be a total collapse, or it could be Tomlin saves their asses again.
Yeah, because they have a lot of winnable games. Like they have the Jets, they have New England, they have Indianapolis, they have. I think that's about it. Maybe Miami could be a winnable game for them. Like
Yeah,
I have,
they've got plenty of winnable games. Yeah.
like I have them losing their starting 0-4.
Okay. Well, that's probably
Actually,
the difference, man. My model has them starting winning all four, and I'm like, what? Like, oh man,
I actually
oh,
have them starting 1-8.
holy shit! And then they go for a run at the
Yeah.
end. I got you. All right, off to the NFC North, man. Where are we at here?
All right. I don't like it. Really wanted to temper my expectations on them. I have the Lions at 13-4. I have
Okay.
Green Bay getting the final playoff spot at 10-7. I have Chicago at 7-10, and I have Minnesota at 3-14. And
Holy
Minnesota,
shit!
the thing with Minnesota is I don't, I have concerns, and I haven't seen
Yeah,
enough out of McCarthy.
dude, that's like how I felt about Minnesota last year with Darnold. I'm like, this guy's done nothing. The quality of the roster overall was low. And man, and then they blew up in my face. But this could be it with McCarthy. You never know. An unproven quarterback can make or break a fucking team, dude.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so for me, my model, which reminding you, based off of the Madden ratings, plugged into the schedule, shocked the shit out of me for the NFC North. Detroit winning at 10-7. Green Bay 8-9. Minnesota 7-10, Chicago 6-11.
I could see it. Like
Based off of
Chicago.
how well the North was last year, that would be, I think, viewed by everybody as like what happened to the NFC North. Well, I
Yeah,
could tell you what happened. They have a fucking hard ass fucking schedule is what happened.
yeah, and like with Minnesota, like I could see Minnesota winning 8 to 10 games, but
Yeah,
I have problems predicting that with
yeah.
not knowing what McCarthy is.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's similar to like what I was saying earlier, like with the Giants. It's like, man, when you have a lights out defense, I mean, like right off the bat, I'm trying to give you like 6 or 7 wins, right? And it with them at 7 wins, that's basically saying McCarthy's probably not doing much for them, which I gotta
Mm-hmm.
believe they're gonna beat it. It's just that the model gives what the model gives, man.
No,
So
I
did
I
you
hear you.
did you run yours out through the playoffs to make a Super Bowl prediction? I mean, we don't
I
have to do that
didn't
now. I just was curious.
I didn't let me see. So I would have Tampa Bay and Green Bay. I'd probably have Tampa Bay over Green Bay. Seattle and San Francisco. Probably San Francisco over Seattle. Philadelphia, Washington. That's kind
Do
of.
you want me to give you mine while you think about it?
I do Washington over Philly.
Okay.
All right, and then in the AFC, I would have Kansas City over the Chargers. I'd have Denver over Baltimore. Houston over Cincinnati.
Okay.
So that would give. And why don't you do your first round while I figure out who my second round matchups would be?
Yeah, so in the AFC, I ended up having Baltimore over Pittsburgh. Then I had Denver over Buffalo. And then I had the Chargers over the Texans. For the NFC, I had San Francisco over Seattle, the Los Angeles Rams over Tampa Bay, and Detroit over Washington, which I'll just tell you was like a sweet revenge thing for me when I did this. I thought, oh my God, I'd love it. But, obviously he just lost to them in the playoffs last year. So.
All right. Second round, I would have Detroit over San Francisco and Washington over Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Oh, fucking shit.
What are you fucking shitting about?
All right. So I have the sweet revenge game and the conference championship game.
Oh.
Detroit beating Washington.
Okay.
And Buffalo.
Oh, you got to do the AFC still, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh, and then okay. So the AFC, I'd have Buffalo over Denver, Kansas City over Houston, and then championship Sunday, I'd have Detroit over Washington and Buffalo over Kansas City, which is the exact Super Bowl that Gronk picked.
And are you going with Detroit to win it?
Fuck. I don't know. I have to think about it.
All right, you think about it. I'll give you the rest of mine. So for me, the next round, I've got Denver upsetting Kansas City, Baltimore beating the Chargers, Philly over the Rams, and Detroit over San Francisco, which then takes me to the championship games, which has Baltimore beating Denver. I did it. I was like, fucking, it's going to happen one of these years. Lamar's going to get the right matchups at the right times and fucking win one. And then in the NFC, I had Philly breaking our dreams and getting back in. So I got Baltimore and Philly in the Super Bowl, which is not as intense as yours. So I'll just go first. I got Baltimore actually fucking winning it in my model. I think that this path is doable for Lamar Jackson. Will it ever happen? Probably not. But hey, in the model, it worked out this time, so I just embraced it, man.
All right. I'm not going to make a pick of Detroit Buffalo Super Bowl.
You're just not going to make a pick?
Fucking A. Like, obviously, I have to pick Detroit. Like,
there you go.
Like, obviously, I do.
With you having them make the Super Bowl, you have to pick them to win the Super Bowl, James. That's just my opinion. If I didn't have them getting shut down by Philly, I would have probably picked them to win it, right? Because I would have been like, I don't care what the model says at this point. I'm just going Detroit. So
Yeah.
we had a pretty wildly different playoff bracket, which is fine. It's it just goes to show that even though we had a lot of the same teams, they can get in there in different seeds, and it can have a drastically different outcome.
Yeah, like if I'm being honest, like if I had Detroit and Philly, like if I had Philly beating Washington, then I probably would have picked Philly over Detroit. Like
Gotcha.
it's just how the matchup wound up. I think I Denver over Baltimore in the AFC in the first round. You had Baltimore beating Denver in the second round
No, in the AFC Championship
in the
game.
championship game. Sorry. So I think that my lack of trust in Lamar comes in there.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I guess for me, what ends up happening in my model is they beat Pittsburgh and then they beat the Chargers. And so it's like by the time they get to have to play Denver, it's like they just already locked in two playoff wins under their belt. And it's
And
like,
that's giving
okay,
him the confidence.
now the momentum's rolling, man.
Yeah, and I could see that. Like if my bracket was that way, and I had those matchups, I probably would have picked Baltimore over Pittsburgh, and I probably would have picked
Yeah.
Baltimore over the Chargers. It's
Yeah.
just I think in the first round, I have Denver.
Oh, I could see Denver upsetting them in the first round if it played out that way because Denver's got a phenomenal defense. Bo Nix and everybody on that Denver team would be fucking ecstatic in the fucking playoffs against them.
Mhm,
That would be a classic Lamar breakdown game, dude.
mhm.
And so I could 100% see it working that way if it happened in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, and I could also see like in my Houston over Cincy, that was a difficult
Yeah,
pick for me because I could see Cincy winning that game,
yeah. I mean,
and
Houston
then
should have a pretty fucking rock solid defense, but Cincy's offense should be able to play with any of them, right?
exactly, I could see Cincy winning that game, and if Cincy won that game, then I might have picked Cincy to beat Kansas City in the second round.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. Yeah,
So I mean,
these scenarios, man, it's I tell you, it's very like I don't mind relying as heavily on the model for the regular season stuff, right? But when you get to the playoffs, you almost got to throw out the model and you got to look at some of the narrative and say, okay, man, this guy's got a blind spot or this team has a weakness and they've been exposed. And, like these are likely scenarios if they play certain teams at certain times.
yeah, and like my Washington over Philly pick, like that one, like I have Philly beating Washington the last game of the regular season, and then them playing the following week.
Okay.
So it feels like a revenge game to me.
Gotcha.
And same with San Francisco Seattle. I have Seattle beating San Francisco last game of the season in week 18 to win the NFC West, and that feels like another revenge game.
Okay. Yeah. It's fun. It's fun thinking about it.
It is. It's a lot of fun thinking about it. Well,
All
I'd
right.
fucking shit myself if Detroit and Kansas City played in the Super Bowl.
Fuck
Detroit and
yeah.
Buffalo. Detroit and
Yeah,
Buffalo played in
Detroit
the Super Bowl.
anybody. Detroit and anybody. We would be fucking flipping, dude.
Yeah, because like Buffalo, like my heart's with Detroit, but I also like Buffalo's always kind of been my AFC team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because back to like the early '90s with Wide Right, and then losing three more Super Bowls in a row,
Oh
like I
yeah.
kind of latched onto that, and
Yeah.
that felt like It's
Like, come on, underdog, figure it out, man.
yeah, but it's like a little bit different, but it's similar to the Detroit story. Like Detroit
Yeah.
can't get to the game. Buffalo could get to the game, but they just can't win it.
Oh yeah, it makes sense, man. It makes sense. I like that. I like going for underdogs, man.
So
All right. Well, hey, you were worried we weren't going to be able to fit all four of the segments in and all this stuff, and we got it, man.
well, when I said that, when I said that, and then I'm like, I forgot about the week between the last
The
week of the
preseason
preseason.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
the week between preseason and the start of the regular season. I thought, okay, so it's the Hall of Fame game. There's this one. There's 4 weeks to the start of the season,
yeah. And we missed
and
that first one. Yeah, it makes
we
sense,
missed
man.
that
Yeah,
first one. Like I was a week off on the schedule.
that's cool. I just got to make a reminder that I don't forget to do week one picks because I'm
Oh,
sure between yeah.
we got to do 2 week 1 picks because we're
Oh, because
talking
we're gonna
on
miss the Thursday, so we got to do them right
Thursday,
now.
and then you have the Friday game.
Oh shit. Okay. Oh, I guess I thought it was a Thursday doubleheader, but all right, it's Thursday and Friday. All right. So who do we got? I'm gonna write it down right now, just off the cuff, because I can't. I already turned off my other monitor. I can't bring it back up while we're recording.
All right, so week one,
You broke up on me.
we have on Thursday. I have all right. So week 1, we have Cowboys and Eagles, and I have Eagles winning that game,
Okay.
especially with the fact that Micah Parsons, he looks like he's going to be. All signs are he's going to sign before it, but he's going to be if he does sign before the game and he's playing, he's
Yeah.
going to have
He might be a
limited
little
snaps.
rusty.
He's a
Yeah.
little rusty. He's also dealing with a back thing. So I think it's Dallas is primed to pick off that game. Is
Yeah.
primed to lose
I
that
had
game.
I had Eagles over Cowboys as well, and that was just based off of my Madden model.
And then on Friday, we have Kansas City and the Chargers.
Oh shit. Is it in Kansas City?
No,
Oh fuck.
it's actually
How do
in
I
Sao
put
Paulo.
well, I
It's in
might have just
Brazil.
messed up our recording here. Oh, that's right. Okay. Oh, all right. I had Kansas City winning that one.
Yeah, I'll have Kansas City winning that one too. I think there's a lot. I think the Chargers are going to have a good team, but I think they're going to start the season a little slow.
Okay.
Like I have them starting 2-3.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm glad you said something about that because I was just thinking, oh my gosh, I gotta set a reminder to make my picks for Friday. But yeah, we got Thursday night football next week.
Yeah, and then we'll do our power rankings and the rest of the week
Yeah.
one picks next Friday.
Heck
There's
yeah.
some intriguing games in week 1.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to set up in my game room again or something so I can watch the game while we're doing the show since they got one going on Friday night.
So that game's it's going to be streaming on YouTube TV for free.
Well, then I'll fucking download YouTube TV.
So that's where you're going to be able to catch that game.
Sweet. Thanks, man.
I think it's YouTube TV. Yeah, it's YouTube TV.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, that's all I got for tonight, man. Do you have any closing thoughts, questions, anything?
No, I think that's all I got too.
Sweet. Well, it was a fun segment. And yeah, anybody who's watching, we hope you liked it. Thumbs up, subscribe, all that jazz. James, my man, I hope you have a good night. I'll catch you later, bud.
All right, sounds good.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut hut hike.